All right. The main objective to describing statistics is to summarize data, specifically the distribution of a data set. Again, the distribution of a variable tells us what values the variable takes and how often it makes these values. There are three characteristics that are important to us when it comes to describing distributions. The average, which we talked about in the last lesson. The variability, which is what we'll talk about this lesson. That's going to be the consistency or precision, or basically how spread out your values are. And then we'll also talk about the shape with the next lesson. To review briefly, when it comes to averages, an average is basically you take your data set and try to reduce it to a single number, some typical value. One of the averages we looked at was the mean, which was symbolized by x bar. It's a sum of all the values divided by the count. And for our class, this is going to be the most important of the averages. The median is the middle value in a collection of values when it ranges from increasing size. It's basically the average of choice when you see outliers or skewness in your data set. And then the third one we ended with was the mode, and that's the most common value or possibly values of a data set. It can be used for any type of data, and its big advantage is that it works for any type, even nominal data. It is possible to have no mode as well as multiple modes. Well, for variation, we're also going to talk about three different types of variations. But in addition to describing the average, we should also describe the variation or spread. Measures of variation tell us how far numbers are scattered about the center value of a set. You can have two sets that have the same value, but if one value is getting the same number over and over again, another value all over the place, they're two very different distributions. Anyway, the most common way to measure variation are the range, interquartile range, and standard deviation. Now, the range is the difference between the maximum and minimum data values. So it's the largest minus the smallest values of your data set. The interquartile range is the difference between the upper and lower quartiles. That's the 75th percentile minus the 25th percentile. And then the standard deviation is basically the typical distance the data values are from the mean. Of the three, the standard deviation is going to be the most important for us.